Okay, broadcast. Good afternoon and good morning for those of you that are in Houston. Welcome to our Tuesday webinar at the Green Room. As always, we are waiting for participants to join us, and while we do that, we greet everybody. And it's not a too bad a winter's day in Johannesburg, but I believe it's a scorcher in Houston, where people are melting and they have to get up early morning to actually get a little bit of coolness so they can exercise. Otherwise, you don't get much done, I suppose. But in a short moment, we are going to be introducing our panelists for the day. But as we are on about 13 people on our webinar so far, Facebook, we've got a few followers coming through as well. Let's see who we have. So as always, please leave your name and your leave your name and tell us who you are, and tell us what program we're immigrating to and stuff like that. So participants in, let's see, attendees. We got all this normals: Anna, Cyril, Derek, Fernando, Marna, Peter, Ravian. Hi guys, welcome. I believe you guys will have a good day today. I hope you guys will get lots of information, and I hope you guys have your questions loaded for our panelists, because this could be you in a couple of months' time. So I would guess that you guys would have a couple of questions loaded for our panelists. Okay, so we've got about 18. Maybe give it another couple of seconds before we motor on. All right, here. Okay, as always, Trevor, you want to kick us off in an intro, and then we can start.
Absolutely, yes. And we're very excited about today's host with us. And Christy is going to be telling us a little bit more a little bit later, but Lenny will do that intro. Obviously, guys, it is so super to have you with us today, being the 9th of June. Myself, Trevor Thomas, my business partner Lenny de Villiers, and we are the Induku Group. We obviously host the Green Room. And to touch on the Green Room just now, Lenny will just take you through that very, very briefly. Now, as always, we just want to give a bit of an intro. So for those of you that have heard this number of times, you can grab your glass of water or your cold drink. But obviously, guys, Induku Group, what we do is we an amazing company that is in partnership with an internationally acclaimed company called Visa Solutions, and we help people to get to America to live their dream. And the way we do that is via what we call an EB3, employment-based permanent residency. That equals a green card at the end of this process. And if you'd like to know a little bit more about what we do and how we do it, and how we could get you to be part of this dream, and to get yourselves into America under this opportunity that we have, please contact either Lenny or myself or anyone in the Induku team, and we'd love to help you on this journey, and we'd love to help you to get across there. And it's not just about getting to Houston or to getting to America or to getting to wherever we got opportunities for you. It might be under the new leaf, which we spoke about last week, Thursday. So if you're wanting to go that side, that's North Dakota, get in touch with us and we can guide you, help you see how we can do this. But as I'm saying to you, it's not just about getting you there, it's about a successful immigration. And that's why we have the wonderful panelists that we have. And to speak more on that, Lenny, will you please introduce our panelists and just to touch on the Green Room for us?
Cool. Yeah, guys, like as always, the Green Room is an immigration space. We cover topics that you sometimes think about when it's too late. So we are trying to cover these topics for you. We're trying to get interesting panelists, and we're trying to get specialists in their fields. So these will be guys that have got experience in either financial immigration, documentation, psychology of immigration, a lot of relocation topics as well. So these things we start off with, and we cover just the base of it, and then we start digging into it a little bit deeper as we go along. So once again, what we've done and what we've realized with our leading up to our topic today is that we've had probably about 13 odd webinars at the moment, And it feels like each of these topics have almost led us to this topic today. So this is almost the end product topic. So this is how you should imagine yourself for these people that are in our program that are actually going to Houston, should imagine themselves in this space, in this webinar. So these are the questions you want to get ready is for our panelists today. She and her husband, Yaku. So it's Yaku and Christy Cronje. They live in Houston. All right. So they moved there at the end of 2018. And she gave us a bit of a write-up, which I'm going to read to you guys, because she's put in a bit of effort for it. So this is her story. Okay. It's Yaku and Christy moved with their 2 young kids to Houston, Texas at the end of 2018. So Houston is the head office of Christie's employer, who she completed an inter-country transfer with. Yaku receives his employment authorization and soon started work with a global engineering firm. The family has enjoyed their time in Houston, one of the most culturally diverse cities in the US, besides for the months of June, July, and August. The weather is great with no snow challenges. The sense of security, positive outlook, and respect for one another have been some of the biggest pluses being in the US. While the couple misses their close friends, family, shopping items, and divorce, obviously. So that is just a little introduction to our panelists today. I said we've got a lovely lady called Christy, and she's going to talk us through pretty much the end product and also around budgeting in the US. So for our panelists, or for our applicants that are actually going to Houston, you can ask her the direct and the fine detail questions about what is it going to cost to get there? What is it going to cost to build that? What is it going to cost X, Y, and Z? So that's why we're very, very excited. We've got our questions lined up, but we want to ask our panelists and the people following us on Facebook to also please get your questions ready so we can maybe make this a goodie. All right, without further ado, Christy, I think I've covered most of it. So if you want to maybe add to it a little bit and give us a little bit from your angle of who you are and just tell the people about yourself.
Thanks, Lenny. It's great to join you guys. Yeah, so I don't think I ever imagined myself living in the US. So it was quite an opportunity that arose, and we wanted to do something different. And we thought, well, it's an opportunity. If it doesn't work out, we can always come back to South Africa. The visa that I'm on at the moment is an L1B, which is a specialist knowledge visa. So it's a 3-year visa, which can be extended to 5 years. So I said to my husband, well, let's go for 3 to 5 years and we can always come back. Well, we've loved every minute of it. It's been challenging. I won't lie to you, but we've just learned so much about ourselves, our family. We've had some great experiences, and I think all in all, it's been a good decision to come here. And yeah, we've enjoyed it a lot.
Cool. Fantastic. Christy, it's really nice to have you with us, and we appreciate the time that you're affording us today. I suppose, there's a whole bunch of questions that everyone is going to want to ask, and a whole bunch of questions that people are going to get to. For me, I want to ask you, how did you find the adjustment into coming into Houston? How did you find getting there and then finding your feet? Are the people very friendly? Did you find that it was easy to sort of settle in? Do you know what I'm saying? Sort of on a high level, did you find that the moving to Houston and just fitting in there, was that all comfortable for you and your family? Let's quickly just talk. How old are your kids, Christy?
So my kids are, I'm just trying to think here, 7 and 9. So they're in elementary school, and they when we landed, they went straight into school because we thought, let's rather get them socialized, get them meeting kids at school. However, we were a little bit surprised. We didn't find the opportunity to meet other parents at school because here in the US, the kids either take the bus to school or they cycle or they walk. So never really coming in contact with other parents at the school. So that was a little bit disappointing. We also got them involved in lots of sports activities. That was great. We got to meet other families in the neighborhood. But in general, the Americans are very friendly, especially here in Houston. Because we sound different every time we speak, then they ask us where we're from. Everyone sort of guessed the UK because of our kind of English accents. So that always immediately starts a conversation. Also, obviously, I went straight into a job, so I got to meet people at work. My husband cycles a lot. He's a big sports person, so he found a cycling club. So I think the rule of thumb really is to get involved in what's happening in your community, get involved in sports activities. We also joined a local church, and that's where we got to meet a lot of Americans. Another tip, though, I would say is that as soon as you tell people that you're going to the States, someone's going to give you a number of a South African that lives there. And really, be the brave one to pick up the phone and call them and just meet up for coffee. And some of our very good friends, actually, even now, have been from that, a friend of a friend of a friend. So you just need to be brave, put yourself out there, and meet people, really.
So, Christy, just following on to that question, how did you guys decide where you were going to stay in Houston? I mean, we were chatting about it just briefly the last time you and I were chatting, but was it, I mean, Houston is massive. You can travel for an hour to get to one part of Houston to the other side of Houston. How did you decide? Obviously, work was very much dictating to you in which area you're going to be, am I right? Or how did you sort of focus and say, that's where I want to stay in the Houston area?
Yes, so the traffic in Houston is terrible. You can sit in traffic for hours and hours. So we decided to look around where my office was located. In addition, you want to be in a neighborhood which has good schools. So I think you had a previous panelist that spoke about the school system here in the US. And there's a website called, I think it's greatschools.com or .org. And you can see the rankings of schools in the different neighborhoods. So we looked at neighborhoods according to schools. I actually also phoned a realtor or an estate agent and asked him to show me around different areas in Houston. And we settled on an area in Missouri City, which is sort of the southwest of Houston. It's 20 minutes from the CBD of Houston. I work in Sugar Land, so it's like a 25-minute drive. And it's a master plan community, which I think a lot of South Africans are used to. So it's very kind of safe and secure, and they have community pools here, and they have sports campuses in this area, and shops and things. So you don't really need to leave this neighborhood because everything's here. So we settled on this neighborhood and actually found that there were 3 other South African families in the neighborhood, which we're very friendly with. So I would definitely say stay close to work. You've got to look at your budget. What can you afford? There's lots of expensive areas. We started off in an apartment, which we rented. And that was quite convenient because they provide all your electrical appliances. So you don't actually have to go out and buy a lot of stuff. So that's how we started out. But now we're in a house.
So, Christy, I mean, that gives us a good understanding of where you guys are at the moment. So most of our applicants are, only still going through the processes and obviously wanting to get where you guys are at the moment, which you guys are pretty fairly settled. Is that maybe you can just take a step back and just talk us through maybe from the process of, a couple of weeks or a couple of months or so before you guys left. Just so, what did you guys take with? What you guys should have left left behind, what you guys would give other people tips on, definitely bring this with or don't bring this with at all, or pre-arrange this. And if you can then talk us into budgets, so obviously this webinar is also about the budgeting. The financial aspect of this whole process is to understand how much money do I need, to get myself semi-settled on that side. Obviously, I won't have a credit score when I land, so I don't want to have obviously too many questions, but just to have it like a flow of a conversation, like from where you guys decided, listen, we get taking this with, or we're not taking this with, and your do's and don'ts.
Okay, so a couple of months before we left, we literally spent every weekend sorting out our house because, you know, what we were going to sell, what we were going to give away. We had decided not to bring a container over to the States because we didn't really have anything of value. But I would say, looking back, if you do have nice sort of like wooden furniture and things like that, then I would probably bring those across. Obviously, don't bring any electrical equipment because voltage system here is different, so don't bother with that. You know, mainly we packed a few boxes and it was sort of like things like books, photographs, a few kind of kitchen items, you know, like our Carol boys and, you know, the nice items that you get given maybe at your wedding or something. But you know, the bed sizes are different, so don't bother bringing linen. And it's I would say, you know, to set yourselves up here in the States, you know, everything, I can say everything is quite cheap, but you know, we don't want to do the conversion from rands to dollars. So we took the decision to literally come over with a couple of boxes of things and suitcases of clothes.
Good.
So in terms of setting ourselves up, yeah, we decided to rent, as I said. We didn't have a credit score. We actually came, and I would recommend it, we came for a week before the time of actually flying over. And this week gave us, and we came without the kids, this week gave us time to set up bank accounts, look for cars, look at where we were going to live. It was just literally an admin week where we you know, looked at areas we want to live. We visited schools. We found out what we needed. We opened like cell phone accounts, bank accounts, that kind of thing. So that when we landed on day one, we sort of had some bit of normalcy. Yeah, so the first thing we did was actually open a cell phone account. I think you need a phone for everything. And here there's Wi-Fi.
How easy is that?
It's very easy. It was sort of like a pay as you go. I think it was, okay. I'm trying to look here. It was $150 for three cell phone lines, and you got Netflix thrown in. And then we got an internet package for $60. So basically for around $200, we had our communication. We then had to open up a bank account. Now you get stuck in this circle of you need a proof of address to open accounts, but you don't actually have an address. So how do you kind of get around that? So we actually asked our cell phone company to put down a friend's address that we lived at or that we knew, and put that kind of on a cell phone letterhead. And we took that to the bank as proof of address, and they accepted that. So then we opened up a bank account. As you mentioned, there's credit cards. You need to start building up your credit score. So we went to Bank of America, and they do a securitized credit card where you basically have to put down a $300 deposit, and you have a $300 limit. And the idea there is that everything you just swipe on the credit card, but you have to obviously keep up your credit card payments early, and then they can see that you are a credit-worthy person. So we got our credit card. We found a place to live. You need transport. There's no public transport system in Houston. So we bought our cars cash. We decided not to do, you know, payments and that kind of thing because of the credit scoring system. And I think it just works out more expensive. So we just paid cash for our cars. So just in terms of a car, a VW Jetta, secondhand, of course, we didn't buy new, was around $14,000. And then my husband, you can buy lots of cars here in the States and you don't really know the true, whether they work or not. But he bought a Nissan Murano, which actually ended up being quite a cool car for $5,000. And he needs to get to the shops and back, and he just needs a little run around. So a cheap car, and it was an amazing little car actually. So for about 20 grand, we had two cars. Yeah, I'm not sure what else did you. There's obviously lots of other expenses. For example, if you rent, you need to have renter's insurance, which is around $100 a month. I'm just looking here on my budget. Car insurance is around $200 a month for 2 cars. Before you buy a car, you actually need to have car insurance. They won't let you take the car without car insurance. Of course, that's if you buy through a dealer, but if you buy it privately on Facebook, no one cares. For food, we probably spent around $800 for food a month, and that's for 4 people. And then things like, entertainment, like weekends, takeout, that kind of thing, we probably budgeted around $800 a month. And then, of course, all the activities for kids. So the kids don't do sports at school. So school's free, which is good. You just need to buy some stationery at the beginning of the year, which is around $60, $70. But if you want your kids to do sports, which is normally in the afternoons or evenings, you need to budget for that. And I'd probably say about $500. So that can add up.
Mm-hmm. Christy, so talk us a little bit, how many months before you then decided to go and purchase your own house? I mean, how many months did that then take you guys?
So we rented for around 7 months. It's quite strange because the sort of apartments that you rent, depending on how many months you have your rental, each month is a different price. So we rented for 7 months just because it was the cheapest monthly cost. Okay. If you rented for 4 months, they would have some other price per month. So you have to just, depending on the number of months that you rent, they come up with a price. And we stayed in the apartments for around 7 months. We did want to buy. And so we started looking in the area to purchase a house. Now, to purchase a house is quite difficult because, of course, you don't have credit history. So it was important for us to build up a credit score from day one. And people will say, get the securitized credit card, get 1 or 2 other store cards that you are quite diligent at paying off in order to show that you are creditworthy. So around 7 months, we found a broker, and then that was a bit of a process to get a mortgage in the States. So generally, if you're a US citizen, you can apply for a mortgage online and it's super quick. But because we're not citizens, we haven't been in the country for very long, we had to go through a broker and they kind of had to manually put together a mortgage for us. So it was a little bit of a process, but one tip though I would say on that is TransUnion give you guys a free credit report a year. So definitely get your credit report. I mean, even when you're in the States, it's an online thing, but make sure that you use your credit report because they're a global credit agency, and the US banks will kind of look at that quite nicely. And we also had to show them 2 years worth of, statements, house payments in South Africa, cell phone accounts, gym accounts. So I would keep your paperwork for the last 2 years so that you can prove that you've been paying off other loans in South Africa.
That's pretty cool. So that counts as part of your credit score in the process to get a home or get a home loan. So did that mortgage rate, was that competitive to what other citizens or green card holders would get, or was it something that you guys had to pay up a little bit for or something?
No, it was quite competitive. I mean, the rates here in the States are quite low. It's around sort of 3.5%. So it's much less than South Africa. So no, they don't discriminate. As long as your credit is good, they don't discriminate on that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. One question, obviously it's quite a big one, and I think you guys would be perfect to answer it. I mean, from Giselle, she asked, how much should one budget for health insurance on a monthly basis?
I'm just looking here now. So that's a difficult question for me, just because our health insurance is provided through through my company.
Okay.
So I'm trying to just think now. It was around maybe $100 a month, but there's so many different health schemes and options that it's difficult to say. But I think it was around sort of $100 a month. It depends on what your monthly contributions are. There's various packages and options, so it's tricky, difficult to say. And we're fairly healthy, so it depends if you have any conditions and things like that. but we don't go to the so I would probably say around $100 to $200 a month.
Okay. All right.
Just looking at another question here. Sorry guys, it's a numeric panelist or an attendee.
I think it's Fadil.
Okay. Hi team, trust you all okay. What are some of the lowlights and highlights that you went through as a family?
Wow, great question. And actually my husband and I talked about this. So it can be very stressful. For us, I think as a family, you need to get together beforehand and understand what is your goal, why are you doing this. You need to kind of manage expectations. What do you, ask your spouse, what do you expect from this? What do you, for me, I went straight into work and my husband was at home because he had to wait for his work permit. So, now suddenly the roles were reversed and I was working and he was sort of the stay-at-home dad. Yeah. So for us, we had to really talk about the roles of each person. We had to manage each other's expectations. I was very appreciative that my husband was at home because there was so much to set up, so much admin to do, so many accounts to open, shopping to be done, sorting the kids out, buying stuff for the house. And suddenly he was doing all of that. And I was thrown into a new job, working very hard to try and kind of prove myself. So I wasn't spending so much time at home and he was kind of the rock at home. And for us, I think that brought about some personality changes because it just caused a lot of stress. I was focused 100% on work. There was this kind of role change. I would come home expecting dinner to be cooked and the house to be clean. And my husband's, been on the phone all day with opening accounts and sorting out this and that. So, there definitely were some personality changes and just stressful moments. And you have to just realize that you're in it together as a team. And there can be, frustrations and arguments and things like that, but and also not having family close by. So for example, our first Christmas we were alone. We went to the beach and we just kind of sat on the beach alone. It wasn't even a nice day. It was freezing cold and raining, so that wasn't really great. But I think it has been a good decision for us as a family. So we don't dispute that it has been a good experience overall.
How was the transition for your kids, Christy?
My kids, we decided literally the day after they arrived to put them in school. So they started the school year a couple of months afterwards. Wanted them to make friends and socialize. So my one child doesn't like change very much, so we had to watch her and just be careful with her. But kids are fairly, resilient, and they made friends, and we put them into sports programs so they could meet people. And now I'd say the biggest thing is they don't want to be seen as being different. So they have their two different accents. It's like normal South African speaking with us, and then when they are with American kids, they switch to an American accent. It's quite funny. So they don't want to stick out. So they just want to blend in and be seen as like being normal like everyone else. So so they've developed their second Texan accent.
Wonderful.
So Christy, you guys fit the ideal family picture for our candidates. I mean, we've got about 100 odd people in our program, which there are probably like 90% of them are families and 70% of them are families of 4, 2 kids, a husband and a wife. So just while this webinar is about budgeting and stuff, would you mind talking us through just a high level of your monthly budget, just so what people can expect? Because, people have an idea what they are paying for stuff in South Africa. You guys obviously being ex-South African, just to compare the two budgets to say, there's more emphasis on this in the US for budgets, focus more on like health insurance, or focus more on food, or or entertainment and stuff. Because in SA we've got you got to pay ADT, you got to pay this security and that security. Obviously, you don't have those type of costs there. Just to take us through the extra costs that are there and compared to South Africa.
So I think, it's difficult to compare to South Africa because people automatically do a kind of a conversion in their heads, which when you come to the US, you really can't think like that, unfortunately. So, I mean, the biggest cost is going to be your rent or your mortgage. And I must say that either renting or mortgage payments are around about the same. So, we just decided the sooner we can buy, the better, because then at least we own something and it's not, paying someone this money every month. So, I would budget around $2,000 for rent. And then, of course, the States is all very big on insurance. So you have your medical insurance, you have life insurance, you have renter's insurance if you're renting. You have, I'm just trying to see here. So for car insurance, as I said, it was around $200 for 2 cars. The medical insurance, so I've got here, my husband's been sending me some figures here. So if your company contributes, I would say it's around $200 a month, but that can, depending on your health status and all of that. But if your company doesn't contribute, then it's around $800 a month. Life insurance is around $80 a month. If you rent, you need to have renter's insurance. It's about $100 a month. If you have pets, you need to have pet insurance. We don't have pets, so I'm not quite sure on that. So all in all, it's around sort of $4,500 after taxes that you probably need to clear in order to be able to live. And we don't live extravagantly or anything. We don't go out to restaurants a lot. Actually, a lot of Americans eat takeout, which is quite cheap. So there's lots of takeout places. We maybe go out to a restaurant once a month or twice a month. So, then you need to look at entertainment, things to do on the weekend, your kids' sports, that all costs money. Gym subscriptions. So gym subscription is around $200 a month. Kids' sports be costly. That's for 2 people. So, and also you can shop around. The States is always about finding the deals.
Cool. So, Chrissy, we're saying about $5,500 US, am I right?
I'd say $4,500 to $5,000 after taxes. Yeah. Okay.
And that, as you say, is for a family of 4. And I mean, if you don't mind, you've been so helpful and you've been so transparent with so many of these things. I'm really grateful. Chrissy, how big is your guys' house? I mean, is that sort of like a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom house? Just so people can have an understanding, is it sort of an average home that one would have? I mean.
So everything in Texas is large, right? So let's start at the beginning. The apartment we stayed in was a 3-bedroom apartment. We actually used 2 of the bedrooms, obviously, for us to sleep, but then the 3rd bedroom was an office for my husband because he works from home mostly. Right. Then we moved to a 4-bedroom house. And then we were like, oh, now we can have guests around to stay because there's actually an extra bed. My kids are young enough that they can sleep in bunk beds. And now, we're very blessed now to actually be in a much larger home. So I would, a 3 to 4 bedroom house is probably the norm, but you can get bigger.
No, I think it's very important, because a lot of people that are in our program are living comfortable lives, if I can put it that way, in South Africa. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And the sort of the general thought pattern is, I hope that I can, continue to live the type of lifestyle that I'm living in South Africa, live it in America. Do you understand what I'm saying? So this that you're giving us today is, I'm really so grateful, because I think it's really going to give so many people an understanding, a better understanding of what to expect when they get to America.
Yeah, I would say that we, coming to the States, you have to be prepared to kind of take a few steps back and start off in a smaller place, because you need to kind of just be frugal with your money. You're still finding your feet. You're still trying to kind of really see what your monthly income is going to be. You've got to work out all the costs. So our our way that we did was, you know, we decided to stay in a small apartment, and just for the first year. It actually was less that we decided to buy a house, but we just wanted to settle in, kind of find our feet, you know, with my husband waiting for his work permit. He wasn't sure he was going to get one. We didn't know how long it was going to take. So, you know, my advice is don't expect to come here and have the kind of life that you had in South Africa, because you need to work up towards that. And I think as both spouses start working, kids are settled, you understand what your monthly costs are, and your budget is worked out, then you can start looking at kind of growing your assets and things. But, you know, we didn't buy brand new cars. We didn't buy expensive cars. We sort of decided we'll eat out once a month, you know, so we were frugal in the beginning, just because we didn't know, you know, what is going to be. But life now is good, and yeah.
Good. Christy, I mean, I've got just one or two more questions. Obviously, I think we can go on forever, but I mean, it's morning there by you, and you need to start your day as well. But so Cyril's just asking a question there. What is the tax rate in Texas? I know there's no state tax there, but there's federal tax, right?
Yes, correct. So it's 8.25%. So, and I think that's what draws a lot of people to Texas, is because of the low federal tax rate.
Federal.
Yeah, and
it's also there's property taxes are higher.
Yes, and also because a lot of your taxes go towards funding the schools and everything. Your property taxes are higher. Oh, gosh, don't even ask me what they are. I don't know.
No, we can have another webinar on that one.
Oh, sorry, I just want to point out, my husband's sending me some things on WhatsApp as I'm speaking. So
okay, cool.
Just going back to expecting, you know, whether you're going to be the same as South Africa. So we don't have someone to clean our house. That can be around $150 to $200 a time, and
Wow.
we are not prepared to spend that kind of money. So we clean our own houses, we do our own washing. We don't have domestics to do that. I mean, they are available, but if you want to spend that money, we mow our own lawns. You know, you can get people to come and do a garden service. So, for example, we did have someone who mowed our lawn. It was $25 a time that they came. You know, we wash our own cars. If you want to wash your car, it's $8 down the road if you want. We iron our own clothes. So, you know, it's not the glamorous life like everyone thinks. And when you're working all the time, it's like your weekends are spent doing these kind of things.
Yeah, one of the questions were what you know, does the average family do in America on weekends? And I think you've just answered it for us.
Yes. Well, I don't know about the average family or the average American family, but that's what we do. So, you know, in the evenings I'll be cleaning the house, or, you know, mowing, or we hardly watch TV actually. We're not a big TV family, but there's no time. There really is just no time. And with here in summer now, the sun goes down at about 8:30, and it's only really dark around 9:30. So your day is very long. You're outside playing, you know, doing exercise, doing admin. So
this is great. I mean, as I said, I think we can go on forever, yeah. But just one more thing on my side. I mean, I think one thing I will pack. I don't know if there are people that supply it over there, but I mean, is there Droewors and biltong? I'm gonna pack my hydrator in for sure.
Yeah, so there's lots of South Africans that are doing it as like a bit of a side business. My husband actually brought over a biltong, you know, like a drying machine, flat packed it and brought it over. So we make our own biltong. A lot of South Africans make their own Vors and Droewors and biltong, but there's plenty available. Obviously, it's kind of expensive if you buy it from someone else, so rather just learn to make it yourself. So also, you know, before you come over, bring all your mom's recipes, all the milk tarts and the cook sisters and the fed cook, bring all the recipes so that you make it for your family at home. Bobotie. And of course, I mean, you can get some South African goods here. There are shops that import them. Costco is a big store that sells kind of series and South African branded Ponytro, that kind of thing. But we do have our list of items that we ask visitors to bring us every time. Mrs. Bull's chutney and things like that. You don't get that here.
Well, Christy, I'll tell you what, from about the end of October, we've got a lot of guys that are going to come through and they're going to phone you for biltong.
I want him to bring stuff for me.
we can do that too. Christy, thank you so much for your time. I think that we could honestly carry on with this webinar for long. I'm sure there's a lot of questions that are going to come through. And perhaps we could ask you to join us another time. We've already taken 40 minutes of your time this morning, but it's really been helpful information. I'm in thanking you, I want to ask you one last question that has been coming up on some of the platforms. For you, you know, a lot of people in South Africa, Woolworths is the shop they go to. They go and do their general groceries, fruits and veg, whatever the case may be. What is that shop for you in America?
So it's HEB for me.
Okay.
There are, we also go to Costco. That's a bit like a macro. So you've got to buy, it's huge, big quantities, buy in bulk. Walmart is always a go-to. They've got kind of everything. The store, which is like Builder's Warehouse, is Lowe's or Home Depot. And another good one is Bed Bath and Beyond. So they do all sort of kitchen, bathroom stuff. Oh, and Hobby Lobby, amazing for like arts and crafts. Wow, that's like, it's a huge, amazing store. But for food, we normally do HEB. And that's just because it's local. You know, we don't, they don't have a big shopping center here. So you just drive to your Walmart, drive to your HEB, and that's kind of the one that's up the road.
Wonderful. Thank you. From our side, that was it. Lady?
Yeah, Christy, thank you very much. This is amazing. So in about a year's time, you're going to have a lot of people phoning you because you're going to be that person that people know in Houston, you know, so you're going to have 100 new friends they're going to come across.
Absolutely. We look forward to it.
But you're going to get Amazon deliveries quite quickly.
Oh, that's, I forgot. Yeah, online shopping, Amazon, very cool.
Yes,
we'll ensure that each one brings across a bottle of Mrs. Balls for you.
Yes, and some nice red wine, please. We're missing out.
Yes.
Christy, sorry, we've all been in lockdown. We haven't got red wine.
Oh, yes. I forget. Sorry. You first going to look after yourselves and buy yourself some red wine before me.
No, good stuff. Christy, thank you so much. Everybody, thank you for joining us today. It was a full house today. We appreciate your time. And thanks once again. See you next week.
Thank you for having me. And good luck.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time and all the best outside. And look after Texas for us. We'll hopefully see you soon. And we want to just ask people that, you know what, if you have someone that is interested in our program, please direct them to our website, which is www.indukugroup.co.za. And with that, guys, thank you very much. See you on Thursday.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.